You open your eyes on the first morning of summer, and the first thing you do is not write a letter. You sit at the window of Augusta's house, and you look at the garden where Neville is already outside doing something careful with a plant that requires careful handling, and you think about last year. About a man in a cave who used to be a prisoner. About a stag running across the grounds of Hogwarts. About a book with a name written inside it in handwriting that belongs to someone you never met but have been reconstructing from the evidence of everyone who knew him. You have been working on the Animagus transformation for 3 months. You have not told anyone. Not Harry, not Neville, not Augusta, which is the most significant omission because Augusta notices most things. The book your father left is detailed and demanding, and the theory is one thing and the practice is another thing entirely, and you are currently somewhere between them, which is where you spend most of your time. Harry is at his aunt's house for the first weeks of summer. You write to him. He writes back. His letters are longer than they used to be, which means he is getting better at saying things, which means Hogwarts is doing something that the Dursleys' house spent 11 years not doing. Then Ron's letter arrives. Ron's letter proposes the Quidditch World Cup, with the specific energy of Ron proposing something he is extremely enthusiastic about, and has not yet considered whether anyone might say no to. He has already arranged for his father to speak to Augusta. Augusta, who has her own opinions about the World Cup, and attended the last 3, says yes before Mr. Weasley finishes asking. The Weasley house is the first thing. You have heard about it from Harry and Ron both, and it is exactly what they described and nothing like what you imagined, which is the specific quality of places that are assembled from love and convenience rather than design. Things that should fall are held up by things that shouldn't hold them. Rooms that don't fit within the visible exterior of the building contain themselves anyway. The whole structure communicates a family that has been adding to itself for longer than the house was built to accommodate, and has refused to let the house's opinion on the matter be relevant. Ginny Weasley looks at you and Harry when you arrive, and then looks away quickly with the expression of someone who has decided to study a point on the wall until their face returns to a less visible temperature. You note this, and note that the specific direction of the looking away is toward Harry rather than toward you, and file it accordingly. Harry has not noticed. Harry's relationship with noticing things that are about him is complicated by the fact that he has spent most of his life in a house where noticing things about himself was not encouraged. The campsite at the World Cup is the world scaled up. Every accent, every style of wizarding dress, from every tradition that has one. Tents that contain considerably more than tents should contain. The specific atmosphere of an enormous number of people who share one enthusiasm gathering in one place to share it, which is the warmest kind of crowd there is. Cedric Diggory and his father are at the campsite. Cedric is exactly what he looks like, which is a person who turned out well and knows it without being insufferable about it. His father is proud of him in the specific way that fathers are proud of sons who have turned out well, which is continually and at volume. The match is extraordinary. Ireland and Bulgaria, conducting a conversation in the language of competitive sport that has nothing to do with language. The Bulgarian seeker is Viktor Krum, who is 17 years old and moves on a broom with the specific quality of someone for whom flying is not something they learned, but something they remembered. Ron watches him with the complete attention of someone who has found the thing they are most enthusiastic about. Ireland wins. Krum gets the snitch and loses the match, which is either a strategic decision or a specific statement about what he values. You think about this while the crowd celebrates around you. Near the stands afterward, in the gap between the match ending and the walk back to camp, Viktor Krum stops next to you. He is taller than he looks in the air, less certain on the ground. He speaks with the specific care of someone choosing words in a language that is their second one. He says he has heard about you. He says he has heard you play, and that you have a gift for it. He uses the word potential with the specific weight of someone who has been told they have potential for so long that they understand exactly what it means when someone else has it. You thank him. You mean it. You walk back to camp with the particular quality of someone who has just been assessed by someone worth being assessed by. The fire outside the tent is comfortable in the way of fires at night in summer when the day has been full and the next thing is sleep. You sit with it while the camp settles around you. Ron is already inside. Harry is nearly asleep in his chair. Neville has been asleep for an hour. You hear the noise before you understand what the noise is. Then the screaming starts, and then the fire starts, and the specific quality of the movement you can see across the camp. is not the movement of people enjoying themselves, but the movement of people running from something. You go to Harry first. You always go to Harry first. You put your arm around him because his hand has gone to his scar. In the specific reflexive way it goes to his scar when something connected to Voldemort is near and the connection activates before the understanding catches up. You cast the concealment charm and it spreads over both of you like something drawn close. Through the charm you watch the figures and masks moving through the camp with the specific purposefulness of people who came with a plan. The dark mark above the trees is the sign that existed before you were born, and that means something very specific to everyone who was alive when it was last in the sky. When the aurors come, you let the charm drop. There is a difference between concealment from people who want to hurt you and concealment from people who are trying to establish what happened. And you have thought about this distinction before and know which side of it you want to be on. The questioning is what questioning is when the people conducting it are trying to determine what happened and the people they are questioning were there when it happened and are trying to be helpful and accurate simultaneously. You answer precisely and completely. On the train to Hogwarts, you sit with Harry and Ron and Hermione and the camp is still with you in the specific way that things stay with you when they touch something that was already there. Harry's scar, the dark mark, the way certain people's faces went when they saw it in the sky. These are not abstract things, and the year ahead is not going to treat them as abstract things. Dumbledore announces the Triwizard Tournament on the first night. You have read about it. The Triwizard Tournament has a history that is longer than its safety record, and a tradition that is more complicated than its reputation. 3 schools, 3 champions, 3 tasks that were designed by people who had a specific relationship with the concept of what 17-year-olds are capable of surviving. The age restriction is new. Dumbledore presents it as a precaution. You receive it as information about how seriously the organizers take the risks. The other schools arrive. Viktor Krum comes off the Durmstrang ship, and Ron makes the specific sound that people make when something they are very enthusiastic about appears in front of them without warning. Krum sees you across the entrance hall and raises his hand in a small acknowledgement. Ron, standing next to you, briefly loses the ability to produce coherent language. He wants an autograph, he says finally. I'll see what I can do, you say. The Goblet of Fire sits in the entrance hall, and students circle it with the specific energy of people who want something very much, and are trying to perform, wanting it with the right amount of casual confidence. The age line glows blue around it. Several 6th and 7th years attempt creative solutions to the age restriction. The creative solutions do not work. The goblet appears to have opinions about creative solutions. You watch all of this from the edges. You are not going to put your name in the goblet. This is a decision you made before the goblet arrived, for the same reason you make most decisions before the moment that requires them, which is that the moment itself is a bad time to start thinking clearly about it. The tournament is for 3 champions from 3 schools. It is not for you. Whatever is going to happen this year, your position in it is not as a competitor. The night the goblet chooses, Cedric Diggory for Hogwarts, Viktor Krum for Durmstrang, Fleur Delacour for Beauxbaton. 3 names. The correct number. The flame dies. Then it flares again. Harry Potter. The Hall processes this the way the Hall processes things that don't fit the structure of the situation. You look at Harry's face. Harry's face is doing the thing it does when something is happening to him that he did not cause and does not understand and is going to be held responsible for anyway. You know this face well. You have been watching it for 3 years. You turn to Ron and Hermione, who are already looking at you. He didn't put his name in, you say. Someone else did. Hermione says the goblet accepted it. Someone made the goblet accept it, you say. Which means someone in this castle put Harry's name in with magic sophisticated enough to get past the age line and skilled enough to convince a magical artifact with its own intelligence that a 4th school exists. That is not a prank, that is a plan. Ron looks at Harry. Hermione looks at you. You look at the empty space where Dumbledore was standing before he took Harry up to the front. After Harry is confirmed as a participant, you go to Dumbledore's office. You stand in front of him and you say, "Someone put Harry's name in the goblet. He didn't do it. I need you to know that I know that and that I intend to find out who did." Dumbledore looks at you over his half-moon glasses with the expression he uses when he is deciding how much of what he knows to share. He says, "I believe you, and I would ask you to be careful about how you proceed. Whoever did this went to considerable lengths and is not going to welcome scrutiny. You say, I know. That's why I intend to be scrutinizing, rather than visible about it. He almost smiles. Hagrid shows Harry the dragons. You hear about this from Harry the morning after, and you understand immediately what it means, which is that Hagrid decided that the informal intelligence network of people who care about Harry Potter should be contributing whatever it has available. Hagrid's relationship with secrecy is complicated, but his relationship with Harry is not. And the outcome of this is a piece of information that changes the first task from an unknown into a known. You and Harry prepare. You think about his strengths the way you have been thinking about them for 3 years, accumulating evidence and updating the picture. Harry on a broom is Harry in the element that was made for him. Harry in the air is not the Harry who struggles with the specific anxiety of being watched and expected and scrutinized. In the air, he is simply himself, which is the best version of himself available. You say, summoning charm, the firebolt. You get on the broom and you stop being someone in a competition and start being you. He practices the summoning charm for a week, with the focused dedication of someone who has identified the one move that solves the problem and is making absolutely certain they can execute it under any conditions. Cedric Diggory finds you in the corridor 3 days before the first task. He says he thought you should know what the second task involves. He says he heard it from Dumbledore's conversation with a ministry official, and that given what Harry is dealing with, he thought the information should be shared. You thank him. You mean it. Then you wait until he's gone, and you think about who told him to do this. You find him the next day. You say, "Who suggested you help us?" He looks at you with the specific expression of someone who is not expecting the question, but is not going to pretend it isn't a fair one. He says Harry helped him with the first task. He says it seemed right to return it. Then he says, Mad-Eye Moody mentioned in passing that Harry might need support. You say nothing. You say thank you again. You walk away. You think about Alastair Moody suggesting to Cedric Diggory that Harry needs support with the second task, when the second task hasn't been announced yet. You begin paying attention to Moody in a different way. His lessons are effective. The unforgivable curses demonstrated on spiders with the casual authority of someone who has used and received curses and considers the classroom demonstration a reasonable pedagogical choice. The lesson is effective and unsettling and leaves you with the specific sensation of having learned something important in a context that is itself a piece of information worth examining. He favors Harry in a way that could be mentorship and could be something else. He provides guidance that is consistently accurate and consistently in Harry's interest. You think about the difference between someone who helps Harry because they care about Harry and someone who helps Harry because they need Harry to arrive at a specific destination. These two things can look identical from the outside. You tell Dobby to watch him. Dobby accepts this assignment with the enthusiasm of a house elf who has been free for a year and has found that freedom is most satisfying when applied to something that needs doing. He follows Moody with the specific invisibility of something that is small and quiet, and that most adults have trained themselves not to notice. The Yule Ball. Harry wants to ask Cho Chang. You know that Cedric also wants to ask Cho Chang because you have been paying attention to Cedric, and paying attention to Cedric includes paying attention to who he looks at during meals. You run the calculation. Harry and Cedric both arriving to ask the same person creates a specific social outcome that you would prefer to prevent. You arrange to be in the corridor near the Ravenclaw common room at the time Cedric is planning to go there. You arrange for Harry to be in a different corridor 10 minutes earlier. You say 3 casual sentences to Cho Chang about timing and availability that are not instructions and are not pressure and are simply information placed accurately. Harry asks Cho Chang. She says yes. Cedric arrives 10 minutes later and finds the situation resolved. He handles this with the grace of someone who has good instincts about which hills are worth contesting. Hermione finds you 2 days later and asks, with the specific directness she uses when she has decided not to approach something sideways, if you have a partner for the ball. You say you don't. She says she doesn't either, and would you like to go together if that's acceptable? You say yes. Ron is standing 15 feet away when this happens, and the expression on his face is the expression of someone watching a door close that they were considering going through but hadn't moved toward yet. You notice this. You file it. You understand that Ron's feelings about this situation are the feelings of someone who wanted something and waited too long to reach for it. which is a common human experience and not something that can be solved by you making a different decision. The ball is the ball. The Great Hall transformed. The music, the specific formality of an evening that is trying to be something different from what Hogwarts usually is and succeeding partially. You dance with Hermione in the way of two people who are better at most things than dancing, but have decided to be present in the moment rather than excellent at it. Halfway through a slower song, you start explaining your theory about Moody and the second task and the specific pattern of assistance that is consistently helpful and consistently suspiciously timed. Hermione stops moving. She looks at you. She says, "We're dancing." You say, "I know. And while we're dancing, I'm trying to work out who put Harry's name in the goblet." She says something that she says quietly enough that the music covers most of it. The part you catch is sometimes. The next morning, Ron apologizes. He does it with the specific awkwardness of someone who knows they were in the wrong and is not entirely sure how to say so without admitting more than they want to admit. You accept it without making it harder than it needs to be. Ron's friendship with you and Harry is worth more than the ball, and you both know it. Moody increases the pressure on Harry after the ball. The guidance he provides is consistently useful. The urgency he applies is consistently notable. You watch the pattern from a distance, and the pattern is the pattern of someone managing an outcome rather than teaching a student. Barty Crouch dies. He dies in the castle grounds, in circumstances that are not natural circumstances and that produce a specific response in the staff and a specific response in the ministry, and a specific response in you, which is the response of someone who has just lost the one witness who knew certain things about certain people. His son's name comes up in the conversations that follow. Barty Crouch Jr., Death Eater, imprisoned. The specific information that Sirius provides when you and Harry contact him is not reassuring. Get the egg. Harry opens it underwater in the prefect's bathroom, and the Mer People song tells him what the second task requires, something he will miss, something taken from him. An hour underwater. You and Hermione begin researching immediately. Then Dobby arrives. He stands in the doorway of the library corner, where you and Hermione have assembled 3 stacks of books, and he holds out a bunch of gillyweed with the expression of someone very pleased with their intelligence work. He says he was following Moody, and Moody spoke with Professor Sprout about the properties of gillyweed and what it does to a human body underwater. You look at the gillyweed. You look at Hermione. 2 days later, Neville approaches Harry with a herbology book open to the gillyweed page. He says the book appeared on his desk. He says he thought it might be useful given what he'd heard about the second task. You ask him how he heard about it. He says Professor Moody mentioned in passing that Harry might benefit from reading about underwater plants. You say, "Thank you, Neville. That's very helpful." You say this with the complete composure of someone who has just had a theory confirmed and is choosing the moment to act on it rather than acting on it immediately. The second task. Harry goes into the water with the gillyweed and the specific focused expression of someone who has accepted what they need to do and is doing it. Underwater. The Mer People village. The hostages hanging in suspension. You, among them, still as something that doesn't need to breathe while it waits. Harry reaches you first. Of course he does. He would reach you first because the thing the tournament takes from a champion is the thing they value most. And you are what Harry values most. And Harry's relationship with rescuing the things he values most is the relationship of someone who does not stop. He is fast and exact, and he takes you and starts up, and then he stops, because the others are still there. Hermione, Ron, Cho Chang, Fleur's sister, who is small and young and has done nothing to deserve being at the bottom of a lake. Harry looks at them and looks at the surface and looks at the judges' platform where the rules exist, and the rules say 1 hostage per champion. And Harry's relationship with the rules is the relationship of someone who follows rules when the rules are right and doesn't follow them when they aren't. He starts collecting. You surface second after Krum, who moved with the speed of someone who swam like a fish before he had transfiguration available to him. Harry surfaces last, with everyone, 4 minutes past the time limit. And the judges' faces when he comes up are the faces of people watching someone do something that the rules didn't account for. He gets the second highest score. The scores are not the point. On the bank, you find Krum drying off next to Fleur's sister, who is small and shaken and speaking rapid French at him, while he nods with the patience of someone who doesn't speak French but understands distress. You walk over. You say, "You did well." He looks at you. He looks the way he looks, which is seriously and with the specific quality of someone who takes the things they do seriously. He says, "Your brother is not like other people." "No," you say, "he isn't." Ron appears at your elbow with a piece of parchment and a hopeful expression. Krum signs it without being asked twice. Dobby's report arrives 3 days later. Ingredients missing from Snape's stores. Polyjuice potion components. The specific set of components that a person would need if they wanted to become someone they weren't for an extended period. The list Dobby produces is meticulous, because Dobby's intelligence work is meticulous, and because Dobby takes the assignment seriously in the way that Dobby takes everything that has a purpose. You sit with this information. You sit with Moody's pattern of assistance. You sit with Barty Crouch Sr.'s death. You sit with Crouch Jr.'s name and history. You sit with the polyjuice ingredients. You sit with the specific flask that Moody drinks from constantly, the one he carries everywhere, the one he reaches for in moments of stress with the automatic gesture of someone who needs what it contains. The picture forms. You tell Hermione. Hermione does not want to believe it. Hermione's relationship with evidence she doesn't want to believe is the relationship of someone who has spent years training herself to follow evidence wherever it goes, and is encountering the specific cost of that training. She takes the information and processes it with the thoroughness she brings to everything and arrives at the same picture. She tells Ron. Ron looks at the picture and says several things that Ron says when he is confronting something that is worse than the last thing he confronted. The three of you agree, nothing to Harry yet. Not because Harry shouldn't know, because Harry knowing means Harry reacting, and Harry reacting means Moody knowing Harry knows, and Moody knowing changes what Moody does. And what Moody does is currently directed at getting Harry into that maze, and to a specific outcome. And you need to understand the outcome before you disrupt the path to it. Dobby watches the maze from the edges on the night of the final task. Harry and Cedric enter. The maze moves, the hedges rearrange. The specific sounds of a competition that is also something else proceed in the darkness. You stand with the crowd and you watch and you wait, and you think about everything you know and the shape it makes. Viktor Krum appears behind Cedric. You understand this is wrong before you understand specifically how it is wrong. The Imperious Curse from behind, at close range, has a specific quality that you recognize from Moody's lesson and from the research you've done since. Cedric shouts at Harry to keep going. Harry keeps going. Krum falls. Cedric falls. Harry touches the cup. Dobby arrives at your elbow with the specific expression of someone delivering news they know you do not want to receive. He says, Harry Potter and Viktor Krum, together, gone. You look at Hermione. She looks at you. You say, where? Dobby says he doesn't know where, but he knows the direction the portkey took, and he can follow the trace. You say, take us there. Hermione grabs your arm before Dobby finishes the word. The graveyard arrives without warning, the way portkeys deliver you without warning, all at once and from the inside out. The cold is immediate. The darkness is the darkness of somewhere that was not expecting visitors. You take in the scene with the speed of someone who has trained themselves to read situations quickly. Harry against a gravestone, a cut on his arm. Viktor Krum on the ground, breathing but still. Death Eaters in a circle, and in the center of it, emerging from something that should not be possible. A figure that is thin and pale and wrong in the specific way that things are wrong when they exist against the nature of what should exist. Voldemort. You have read about him. You have studied him. You have spent 3 years understanding that everything this year has been building toward this. The reading and the studying do not prepare you for the specific quality of standing in the same space as him, which is the quality of standing next to something very cold that is also somehow on fire. He sees you immediately. He sees you, and then he sees Hermione, and then his expression does what it does when he is encountering variables he did not place in his plan. He fires. You move before you consciously decide to move. Augusta's training. The defensive reflex of someone who has been preparing for this specific category of situation, without knowing this specific situation, was what they were preparing for. The curse hits the gravestone behind you, and the gravestone disagrees with it in a cloud of stone dust. Hermione is moving toward Harry. You are the distraction, and you are choosing to be the distraction, and you are casting and moving and drawing fire toward yourself, and away from the two people behind you who are working toward the exit. Voldemort fires again. You respond. The duel between you is not a duel in the sense of two equals exchanging formal magic. It is a conversation in the language of force between someone who has had decades to develop the vocabulary and someone who has had 3 years and is discovering that 3 years of preparation with the right teacher is not the same as 30 years of practice with every dark magic available. He is stronger. This is simply true. But strength is not the only variable. Harry is behind you. You feel it when Harry raises his wand. You feel the specific quality of the connection that exists between Harry and Voldemort. The connection that lives in the scar. The connection that makes priori incantatem not just possible, but inevitable when those two wands meet. You understand what is happening before it is fully happening. You cast the linking charm between your wand and Harry's, not a documented spell. Something you worked out from theory 6 weeks ago when you were thinking about what would happen if two people needed to hold something together that one person couldn't hold alone. The golden thread holds. The priori incantatem holds. The figures come from Voldemort's wand the way they come in the original account. The echoes of the dead. And among them, a man with untidy dark hair and eyes that belong to Harry and to you, and who says what he says and gives what he gives. Hermione has Viktor Krum. Dobby has Hermione. They are gone. You pull a cup. You feel it activate in your hand. You grab Harry's wrist and you fold around him, and the graveyard disappears, and the entrance to the maze appears, and the crowd and the lights and the noise arrive all at once. Dumbledore is running before you finish landing. In the crowd, you see Moody moving toward Harry with the specific directional purpose of someone who knows exactly where he needs to be and why. You look at Dumbledore and you say 6 words: Moody, Polyjuice, Barty Crouch Jr., go. Dumbledore changes direction. You stay with Harry. The door to Moody's office comes off its hinges under Dumbledore's wand. The flask, the Polyjuice potion, the real Alastair Moody in the trunk at the bottom, thin and old and alive, in the specific determined way of someone who refused to stop being alive because it was inconvenient. The face that Veritaserum reveals is the face of Barty Crouch Jr. The story it tells is the story you've assembled from pieces over the course of the year, and the assembled version and the told version match with the specific satisfaction of confirmation. His father died on the grounds during the tournament. His son killed him, turned him into a bone, buried him. The plan executed from inside Moody's stolen face. The news leaves Hogwarts before the school year ends. Viktor Krum is dead. This is the news that goes around the world in the specific way that the death of someone famous goes around the world, which is immediately and with a particular grief of people who loved what a person could do and are now learning what it means when someone can no longer do it. Ron receives it in the Great Hall and does not say anything for a long time, and then says something very quiet that is more honest than most things Ron says. And Voldemort is returned. This is the news that the Ministry does not want to receive and responds to by deciding not to receive it. The Ministry's relationship with uncomfortable truths is the relationship of an institution that was built to manage the world and discovers that the world does not cooperate with management. Dumbledore states the truth plainly. The Ministry declines to confirm it. The funeral is at Durmstrang. You attend with Dumbledore and Harry and the specific weight of something that was lost on a graveyard outside an English village. Krum died on the ground covering Harry with his body. This is what the headstone will say eventually, and it is accurate and insufficient in the way that headstones are always accurate and insufficient. On the last night before the end of term, Dumbledore stands in the Great Hall and says what he says. He talks about courage. He talks about what it means to face what is coming with clear eyes. He looks at the hall, and the hall looks back, and the specific quality of the attention in the room is the attention of people who have understood that something has changed and are still working out what that means. He looks at you and Harry. He says, "There are those among us who have already shown what courage looks like." Harry looks at the floor. He has never been comfortable with this kind of attention. You look at Dumbledore. Dumbledore looks at you with the expression he uses when he is communicating something through the looking that he is not going to say directly. The expression means, what is coming is larger than what has come before. The expression means, I need both of you. The expression means, I am sorry that you were born into this, and I am not sorry that it is you. You look back, you think about a graveyard, about a golden thread, about your father's echo saying what echoes say when they have one moment to give what they have left to give. You think about the Animagus transformation and the 3 months of practice and the specific shape that is becoming clearer every week. You think about the year ahead and the year after that, and the thing that is waiting at the end of all of it. You think, we are not ready. And then, we will be. That is what it means to be the one who knows what's coming before it arrives. You spend your year watching the shape of the threat while everyone else watches the competition. You build your understanding from the edges inward. You prepare for the thing that isn't announced because the announced things are never the actual thing. Voldemort is back. The Ministry doesn't believe it. Dumbledore does. You do. Harry does. 4 people who know the truth in a world that has decided the truth is inconvenient. That is not a comfortable number, but it is, for now, what you have. Subscribe, because 5th year is when the truth gets harder to tell and more necessary to keep telling.